So, as you can see, I am dressed in a Native American regalia. This is called the men's fancy dance. It comes from Oklahoma. I'm from Montana. So it is an adopted style of powwow culture. Powwow culture is becoming a more universal kind of sub-native culture, you know. A lot of people participate, they adopt different styles. And that's what I did. I started as a co-traditional hot dancer. And I moved to this style, which comes from Oklahoma. It comes from the horse dance or the crazy dance, I was told. Back in the day, there were some people, some horses in the corral. These two Ponca brothers saw these horses in the crowd dancing. So they went in the crowd and they started dancing with those horses, you know, kind of lifting their knees high, you know, like the horses. And the women said, "Hey, what are you guys doing? What are you doing that crazy dance? You know, we're doing that horse dance." So that is where this comes from. Another one is, another story comes from the Buffalo Bill Wild West Show. How many ever heard of the Buffalo Bill Wild West Show? Okay, so we had this show. You know, Native people, we were in transition at that time, from living the way we were living to being forced into living in this society. So they killed off our food source, and so we had to use money and feed our families. So they had this show, and they had some natives on the show who would dance, kind of traditional style, maybe like this. And kind of basic, 1, 2, 1, 2 with the steps. They sang the more traditional songs, the slower songs, like that. Then they picked the dancers, put them on the show, And if you got on that show, hey, you got a little bit of money, you can feed your family, So they would dance hard to get on the show. Every once in a while, the dancers would go like this. Do a little fancy move, a little fancy turn. And they're like, hey, we'll take that guy, there's a show with some flash we need, we'll take that guy. They started picking the ones who were getting fancy and flashy to where it was harder, to pick the dancers. So finally they said, you know what we should do? We should have the first men's fancy dance competition. We'll create this dance for the people, the spectators. Instead of just the one bustle on the bottom that traditional dancers use, put another one on top. Create the double bustle, make it fancy. Instead of just the slower songs, we'll have faster songs, Instead of just the basic traditional steps, He said, get fancy, Not that fancy. So they promoted this dance. A lot of people came out to the show. It was good medicine for the people, and the natives down there, they really enjoyed it. They enjoyed this dance, doing this dance for the people, and they kept it going to where now it's spread all through Native America, even into Canada, where now you see me and Absaluga dancing this style, which comes from the Ponca, the Oklahoma people. So it is accepted, and it is a part of the powwow culture. But the values that come along with these dances are intact. When you see a native dressed like this, you don't say, hey, nice costume, bro. It's not a costume. A costume is something when somebody dresses up to be somebody else. This is a part of who I am. You see that beadwork there? You see that design, those colors, that is significant to the Absaluga. My wife and my daughter, they spent their time and they put their good vibes and their good prayers into every stitch, so that no matter where I would go, I would always have something good to say to the people, and I would take them with me. As I'm standing here on the stage here, my family is with me. I wear my family wherever I go. And so those are just a little bit about this. The values that come along with the circle of powwow or dancing are intact. My grandpa, his name was Frank Textiga. He was the president of the Native American Church, peyote, anything about those prayerful ways of NAC. He fought the Supreme Court and they won with some other great men, And so he was a great man. He taught me the values. He said, when you come out to the circle, he said, you don't just come out here to look all cool, try to win some money, because there's a lot of competitions nowadays. He said, no, that's not why we dance. We come out to the circle to dance for the people, the ones who are watching. Some of them, they can't dance, they're unable to come out to the circle. They might be in wheelchairs or whatever. You dance for them. Some of them may have lost a loved one. Their hearts are heavy. You dance for them. Some of them may be sick in their bodies, they need a healing. He said, you dance for them. Make sure your heart's in a good place, because when you dance, the people can see your heart through your dance. And if it is in a good place, your spirit is uplifted and healing takes place amongst the people. If you have any ill feelings towards anybody, go make it right with them first before you come and dance with them. There we're back. What's up, brother? How you doing? So he said, make sure you have a good heart when you come and dance with the people. So I'm going to go ahead and display this dance called the Men's Fancy, which is the most contemporary style of powwow culture. And I want to dedicate this dance to all the missing and murdered Indigenous women and people all over. And if you good people would help me honor them in a good way by just standing to your feet, if you are able, please stand to your feet. I appreciate that. And maybe as you're standing there, say a little prayer in your heart. Send some good vibes their way, for their safe return and the comfort of their families.